I can't remember exactly when Microsoft stock came up on my radar. What happened was it starting to percolate. When I get on a stock that's really hot and moves up, a lot of people ask me, Scott, how do you find your stocks? Well, it's kind of like a volcano. It starts to kind of rumble, boom, 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 boom. And Microsoft started rumbling over the last year or so. And it rose substantially through a couple of major consolidation zones. And it also rose along with the news that it was making a tremendous amount of money from its cloud computing. In other words, Microsoft, even though it was an older company, founded in the 70s, was starting to do things that was indicating that it could make a ton of money and be extremely competitive against other companies like Google and Facebook. And sure enough, here we have Microsoft running upwards, which I'm going to show you in a second, and we have Google and Facebook that are both weakening right now against Microsoft. Very interesting situation. The fact is, Microsoft stock is rising like a weed. Check this out. So like back in July, for instance, Microsoft was consolidating, but everybody knew there was a huge amount of money that was going to start pumping out of their cloud system called Azure. And sure enough, look what happened. If we mark out the channel right here, we can show that the stock shot straight up. And in fact, what we've got is an enormous opportunity because, for instance, anybody that bought calls right here in this section made a lot of money. And in fact, I did. I've been making money all the way up on this rise in Microsoft calls. And in fact, I've actually increased my position in Microsoft calls. And that's why I'm talking to you today about MSFT earnings. MSFT is the symbol for Microsoft. MSFT is the symbol that's associated with the earnings of Microsoft. MSFT earnings is what we're talking about today. So how is it that Microsoft earnings has allowed this company to go from a stock that was trading in the 30s back in 2014, 2015, and is now trading way up in the mid 150s, between 100 and 200. You notice that it's only had one or two little blips. It had a consolidation area here, very small one here, a pretty good consolidation here, and then a recent consolidation. So it's risen with very few consolidations, which is very important to notice. According to Inc. magazine, Microsoft's financial results are boosted by the position it holds as the second largest cloud computing software and services in addition to this that allow the stock of stocks to soundly beat the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ indexes. This stock has risen at double the pace of the S&P 500, which is just amazing. And the stock has risen through two major technical breakouts. Valuation today is definitely up near the upper end of the range. So a lot of people are asking the question, is this stock still a good buy? And the one answer I can tell you is that yes, I have a very large position in Microsoft calls expiring somewhere between March and June. I forget where. But I have a strong position. I think out in June is when my calls are expiring. So if I'm making a big bet in this stock, that means I deem it to be a rising stock. Microsoft has three major revenue sources. Azure is the biggest factor because of the profitability of cloud computing. Minecraft has helped Xbox from becoming an absolute total loser as a division. And the Office suite has been a real winner. So Microsoft is Windows is the third major source of revenue for this company. Let's talk about Microsoft revenue. Microsoft posted $33.1 billion in sales in the first quarter of 2020, in the first quarter of 2019. And Azure was up 59%. Surface, which is another service that Office has, was off by 4%. The good news is LinkedIn, which they acquired a few years ago, was up 25%. Microsoft Office, or Microsoft Office Suite, which I'm sure you're familiar with. In fact, I use Microsoft Office Suite for my work, is a huge cash cow where Office 365 subscription has been a big success. There was a lot of questions of whether subscribing to Office would be success. Microsoft bought LinkedIn in December of 2016 and then has successfully monetized that company, as I just mentioned. In fact, Microsoft has experienced double-digit growth for LinkedIn and has been consistent in growth for multiple quarters now. A 59% increase for Azure indicates that that indicates that there could be slowing cloud growth for the company just because it's getting so big and starting to absorb all of its market. The figure's been falling steadily lately, 76% in Q2 of second quarter of 2019, 73% in the third quarter of 2019, 64% in the fourth quarter of 2019, and now 59% in the first quarter of 2020. So there is a lot of concern that revenue is decreasing on Azure, which could put pressure in terms of the upward growth of the stock itself. So what about Azure? Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella says that the world's leading companies are choosing our cloud to build their digital capacity, and we're accelerating our innovation across the entire tech stack to deliver new value for customers and investing in large and growing markets with expensive opportunity. So in 2017, Microsoft's cloud annualized run rate passed 20 billion ahead of schedule, and that number is now effectively doubled. So the risks for stock investors who are investing in Microsoft is that Azure's growth could continue to slow just because of the increasing size of the business, and Microsoft stock could get a lot higher earnings multiple than it does right now. The analysts 2020 consensus for the EPS for the year of 2020 is $5.24 for MSFT earnings. Even excluding the company's roughly $8 share of net cash, that says that Microsoft is trading at a forward price earnings ratio of over 24. And that's double what it was doing from back in 2013. So that certainly has some people concerned about whether or not this stock can continue to rise upward. So the end takeaway is that other large cap stocks like Google and Facebook are a lot cheaper. You can see that the stock is trading at $155.30. So you might have asked yourself, is there a way I can get a really deep discount on that particular stock? And the answer is yes. The way you do it is by using call options. So let's take a look at exactly what kind of call options are trading on Microsoft stock. In order to find the call options on Microsoft stock, go to Yahoo Finance and type in MSFT. That's the code, that's the symbol for Microsoft Corporation. And then what you want to do is go over to the options tab right here, click on options. Now the first series of options that are going to show up is going to be December. It's going to be the nearest expiring series of options, and you don't want these, because the problem with these particular options is they don't give you much time to expire, so you're just throwing your money away. Whenever you buy an option, a call option on a stock, you want to buy an option that has at least 3 months to 6 months time to expiration. So 3 months, right now I'm recording this in December, so 3 months out would be in either February or March. So the March calls here would give you about a quarter, about 3 months to let your investment work. And the next thing you want to do is come over here and look at this section called open interest, and you want to scroll down on your open interest, and you want to look for large numbers in open interest. See 4,000, 1,000, 10,000, 8,000, 10,000. The main thing to notice is there's lots of liquidity in the calls 3 months out. Now, another thing you kind of want to glance through and notice is, are there more or less, fewer puts, open interest for puts than calls? That's important, because if there's a lot of puts outstanding and it turns out there's a lot fewer puts, I can just see glancing in open interest than there is in calls. You definitely want the investors to be betting bullish more than be betting bearish. And if there's a lot of people that own calls, the open interest is high on calls, that means that the bets are on, bullishness in the market. So that's the next thing you want to look at. Finally, after that, let's take a look out, or maybe not finally, I don't know, I'm just telling you about options here. You go out to June, then you're going to see that we get quite a bit of liquidity in June. So there's no problem going out 6 months. And the main thing that I want you to notice is that here's the strike that's that's at the money. That's the 155 strike. The further out you go, the cheaper these calls get. I don't like to be further out than 3 strikes. So we're at 155. Then I don't like to be further out than the 170s. And actually, I do think that I am in the 175s because the market has risen since I've been purchasing these calls. And again, if you come down here, the next thing you want to notice is you want to make sure that you don't have a lot more puts outstanding than you do calls out there in June. But June's so far away that a lot of things could happen to affect Microsoft stock that we just simply don't know about. And so this is a great way to get a wonderful discount on a $155 stock, which is Microsoft Corporation, because the MSFT earnings are really strong for this company, which means that I'm bullish on the stock and I'm currently invested in the stock. Okay, great. So I've explained to you why I am invested in Microsoft. I've also explained to you the risks that I see and why, if it falls back in certain conditions, why I would end up selling it, explaining the competitive reasons. So make your own decision, make your own analysis, and you can succeed as a stock investor.